Hello everyone and good evening. We are doing another Kerbal Space Program stream today. We are starting quite a bit late. Some life events kind of got in the way. But we will adjust accordingly. It doesn't mean we'll be playing a little later tonight than I normally do. But does not mean we will lose any time. So we are looking to have a little bit of fun with this one. Right now we've been doing a lot of like speeding through getting the images and things like that for other planets. We are still quite behind in it, so we might have to pick up a mission or a contract here or there just to make a little bit of extra jingle. That way we can just keep speeding through until we have another orbital body to explore. Yeah, we are currently waiting on the game to load. There we go. Let me just cover this for a second. And one of the other things is we will be looking at potentially expanding the KISS station. Yep. A little audio glitch, but that's fine. That's been taken care of. Search the Skies is the only contract we currently have going. If I go here and look at other contracts, woohoo! I really wish they were a bit quicker, but there's not a lot we can do about that. Build an orbital station around the moon. Yeah, that is not an easy one. Also, the payday, as nice as that looks, when you compare it to like some of these easy survey missions or the rescue missions, it doesn't make sense. Hmm. That's technically a workable mission that might end up on our radar. That's got a decent payout. Ooh, from a weather survey. Payout on this guy. It's not that high, but Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's relatively easy. That's... Huh. That might be a mission we pick up just to... Yeah, just to get something done. That's cool, but I also know anything that's orbiting the sun is going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. Visual scan. Resource and altimetry. I enjoy that, like, I have all these planets it knows about, but they can't tell anyone apparently that, hey, by the way, we might need to actually do something with that. Okay. Yeah, how much are they gonna pay us? Easy enough. That's just for the giggles. They want to go. Not really interested in the prestige of that. It's just kind of useless to me. Let's take a peek. We want the ocelot. Okay, that is a hefty engine. It is relatively easy to test though, because not only do we know the size, a whole bunch of other things about it. Neat. Easy enough. We're gonna do this. We're gonna come here. We're gonna close it up. And we're gonna toss little antenna and a parachute on it. So it's symmetrical. We can get away with those, and then let's toss the parachutes on. Boop. Boop. Easy enough. Test bed, and we'll launch it. See how quickly this goes out of control. Whee! Contract complete. We're on our way back down already. Easy as that. Uh-oh. So, note to self, do not force a high rate physics warp. That was my own fault. Let's see if we can just... Yeah, let's do that. Nice. Low burn. There we go. We have to complete the contract. And let's right back down on the pad. Boop. Recover it. Now we basically just paid a little bit of money for fuel, and that's about it. Okay. Let's take a peek at building some aircraft. Okay. We're doing an airplane. Well, since we're doing a cargo plane, okay, kind of like that. Close that, close that. We now have cargo plane. I like that. Neat. Dynamics. RAM intake. Let's take a peek at some proper wings. Hmm. Trying to find the right size. I feel like this might be it. We do want this to be treated as a cargo plane, basically. Question becomes doing that. Rigid with auto strut to root. And rigid. Pop, pop, pop. Now we want to come here. Hmm. Those are some very pretty big wings, however. There we go. I think one of the things we want to do is lower the actual part. It won't be that low though. That works. This single part. Go. That up there. Oop. Oop. Take a peek at this. If I go deploy, deploy. We don't want pitch, yaw, and roll. Perfect. But this does technically work. Problem is, it does not want to be. Oof. Come on. Okay. Then we move up here. Now I do understand I could have saved myself quite a bit of hassle if I did this before I copy and pasted the wings. However, that would be smart, and as anyone who's been on my channel before would know, I am not. Doesn't look great, but it does look like it wants to fly. We want to come up here. Radical pods. They look awesome, but I don't think they're actually what we need. think the nacelles are actually going to be what we want. The problem is, as beautiful as they are, and I might have to lift the wings back up, I don't know if I have jet engines at that scale. Do I? Fan. I do like that. These do look oh so much like they they look oh so much like they're ready for takeoff on their own. Everything up. The other thing we want to do is come here. The main thing is we want this to have the kind of power that most most insane people dream of. Down to jet fuel. Now, part of me wants to just bury these inside. And I theoretically could get away with it. However, I think what I'm going to do is do something actually interesting. I'm going to duplex it. You've got the little entrance right here, and then up here, this is going to open up, and that's where I'm going to hide a bunch of extra stuff. Now, I do need to check, not heat management, but fuel delivery. Wonder if I come down here to our fuel delivery lines, go for some nice white lines. I just go from here down to the engine, and then I check the fuel delivery. Huh. Okay, for now, I go here. I'm gonna rigid, because everything heaviest, and then rigid heaviest. No, we want base. Rigid heaviest. This thing is massive. I honestly am worried I'm not going to be able to get something like this off the ground, just given what I know about how KSP behaves at the best of times. Part of me feels like I need to have 2 of these. There and there. You back. Okay. Let's check our lift, thrust, weight. Ooh, this thing is going to want to stay on the ground, from what I can tell. I can bring it back. And bring it down a little. Does look better. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Is come here, bring these down. Yeah. Carrier Mark 1. Because that's kind of what it does, is it carries stuff. Now we don't need radiation shielding, so like technically I do, but point. The radiation shielding. $80. Okay, I think that works. Okay. One of the things we want to do is give a command and control capabilities. Toss this a little itty bitty node. Come on. I need you to work with me here, buddy. Okay, we are going to save this. New. Open. Load it. Open. load the actual supercarrier. Again, not good enough. Like, it's kind of silly, but it is technically what we want to also. For safety's sake. Hopefully, those are never needed to be deployed, but in the event they are, safe way to do so. Electrical. We will look at that in a moment. Go. I can come over to command and control. Give ourselves a nice massive reaction wheel. Massive control module. Mech jeb in the event we need it, although I doubt we will. I don't, yeah, we're not going to worry about a scientific loadout on this for now. This, bring it down. At least in theory, extend the ladder. Cool. Yeah, we're not going to worry about no clipping. We're also not building this for transport purposes. If so, we would swap this part out. Close that. Don't really want to mess with the robotics right now. See, that's cool for building like a bomber kind of thing, but for what I'm currently building, yeah, let's take her out, see how badly physics screams. I get the feeling this is going to be one of those things where the physics is not happy. That's funny. That is actually really funny. I was so worried about the weight distribution, I forgot about the fact that the weight distribution is towards the front. So the instant these wheels were there, I should have known better. I need to bring them forward, drop them, resave, relaunch. Now, it should be all better. Who is hopping? I'm very surprised that that settled down. Let's hit our brakes for a second. I want to see. Partial open. Is 80 enough? Set you to 100. That picks the tires up, so we want to do 90. 85. 87. We want close, but not off the ground. There we go. Okay. Let's hear this baby purr. Ooh, even with the brakes on, she's got force. Honestly, that is a lot more stable than I was anticipating. Goes gear up. I might actually need to put aero brakes on this because, whew. Let's see, right now we are pushing enough thrust to go completely vertical. Aircraft autopilot. If I set this as 0, engage the autopilot, lock the heading in. Okay, set you to 90. Altitude hold. We want 10,000 meters. Set. Hold altitude. Altitude. 1,000. In the climb. Ooh, that's too much. Do 50 in the climb. uh, 10 in the climb. Okay, don't worry about holding the altitude. Don't worry about holding anything. Come on. Come on. I know you can pull up. I know you don't do it quickly, but you can. We really do zip. Alright. Let's slow her down. We do want to try to get back. And I think our biggest issue is we don't have a good way of forcing any issues. Like the instant the engines are out, we don't have a way of forcing the wings up. Yeah. I guess, in order to turn around, gotta keep speed at max and kind of push through it. This heavy cargo plane does work. And she does move. Doesn't move fast, but she does move. let the engine be for a second, see if normal SAS is going to be the better assist for this. Pick the nose up. I know you don't want it, but so it is interesting, the fuel consumption and all that. I feel like I can probably drop quite a few of these engines and we would be perfectly fine. After all, this does fly very smoothly, actually. And the problem is, she is not maneuverable. Woohoo! Oh, okay, that's enough force to rip the engines off. That's funny. Hey, we'll consider that a failure of flight, as, you know, the engine sheared off in the roll. Go here. Come down to this section now. What we would love to do oh, that is nice. That is a nice heavy aero brake. See, the winglets work, but I don't... that might be big enough. Oof. That's nice. I think what we're gonna do is rip that off. Toss those on. And we're gonna toss that right there. This the Mark II. We'll save. Let's see, what was the other thing I wanted to do? Add the aero brakes. That's true. That should, in theory, slow us down significantly. Airplane tail fin? Okay. That's literally a one-piece wonder. That is exactly what I was looking for. Pitch. Will do. Auto strut to the root with a rigid. Adding a proper control surface here. This is not yawed. I think we will get rid of those because they just feel far too lightweight. Carefully. Okay. Save it. I will get rid of that. Do another save. Really doesn't need this many engines, but at least for now, we'll see if changing out those will give us more control. Okay. Let's see if we can take off with this. 100, 150, 200, 300. Yeah, the lift isn't a whole lot better, but does the lift at least. Let's take a peek. As we go up, our thrust weight starts to drop down. Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be on this flight. Just because it is screaming. The other thing is, if we roll, can we roll? Can we, make the turn? Right now, if put into a bit of a spiral, it does not come out of it. Cut the ends because I'm trying to see if we can get back. And I'd prefer if I didn't have to orbit the planet to get back. Also, looks like our lift profile is just not quite there. Huh. Why that? Hmm. Okay. Spin test. Engines are still attached. Still have not turned, so let's see how much we can lower the engines before it tries to take a dip and drink. Yeah, because right now this kind of feels like one of those it can fly only in a straight line kind of things. And that's not really great. Yep. Revert to the hangar. Well, as neat as that is, we will keep this to be worked on again later. Take a look at the Mark 1 cockpit. And the reason I want to look at the Mark 1 is I theoretically should be able to get this going at quite the velocity. As long as I get engines to behave. That's gonna be the main issue. Because if I come, where is it? These jet engines, bypass turbofan. That is absolutely beautiful. It's also massive in comparison. Afterburner. Neat. Do we have a splitter, though? I would love to split this engine in two. Might be under structural. Wrong size. Right size. Don't like that though. Go here. Cool adapter. Cool, but not the one I'm looking for. I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the Mark II. I think the answer is yes. Three is more than enough. Twin turbo it. Make this the extra long one. Get away with putting something nice on it. Doing that. That. MX. Toss that on there. And now peek at wings. Main concern is going to be that I'm using, you know, too small of wings. Fruit part. Nope. Not perfect. That's much better. Auto strut to root with a rigid attachment. That's interesting. Not what I'm looking to do, but it is interesting. Here. way too big. Oop. Okay. See what else we can do with this. Yes, we can overlap them. I'm not a fan of doing it normally, but it is what it is. Rigid and primary. Thing I want to do is come here. Offset. Put it in there. I do like the idea of making this super powerful. I do need to come here and kind of force that. Because if I don't do anything, we do want to make these go free. Don't handle pitch. They don't handle yaw. Want over control quite extensively. Well, it jumps at Mark 1. Most because what I want from this is for it to quite literally attempt to jump out of its own skin. In order to do that, I need to figure out a good air breathing solution. Okay. The problem is that is way too big. Here, come down there. Grab our little fuel. Offsetting. I think I'll just leave these as is. Thinking about it. Hmm. So it is a little overkill doing this way, but hopefully I'll be able to use this to push the engines past their limits. Very, very high off the ground. So we do need to make sure that we put ladders. Okay. This is probably the worst place to put a ladder, but hey. We don't really have a solution. Let's see how bad this is. Yes, yes, it is. We are having a little bit of fun there, Dad. Uh, Honestly, we're just trying to kill some time. I have a few working stuff that works really well. Just want to see at this low tier if I can build some crazy aircraft. Problem is, we fell off the runway. Oh, yeah. That's gonna have to be braced because that's kind of just silly. The Okay. So those are free floating. I'm gonna revert, reattach them, and get this going with the afterburners. See if we can really pump out some power on this. Structural. There we go. One and two. This will be more than enough to hold that together. And then we want to come to our action group because we forgot to set the afterburner up. Custom 1. Switch mode. Custom 1. Switch mode. And then we want custom 3 to toggle it and to toggle it. That way we can shut the engines down as we need. Save it, launch it, and let's see if it wants to come off the ground with the afterburners. Granted, what I really am trying to do is build something super fast, and I'm not going to get that if I keep making it as long as I do. I don't know. Bit of an old obsession with the SR-71s. The idea of a long, fast aircraft. Good, good. Afterburn. No. She doesn't quite have the force to push herself off the ground, but she can do it. I do have to apologize, Dad. I'm a wee bit tired. I've had a bit of a long day. I'm trying to figure out what you're referring to as comms and call. I know it means something, but my brain is currently very fuzzy. Center mass and lift. You know, I probably checked that. I was having so much fun just making like a silly aircraft. I really didn't think about the standards I normally use for design. Honestly, I'm very surprised this is as stable as it is, because it is basically slapped together. Here, let's see if we can do a nice touchdown, and we'll check the centers. Yeah, this is behaving a lot better than I thought it was. I thought this was doomed from the beginning. Alright, let's bring our engines down to 30%. Actually, we need to go down further because I didn't put air brakes on this. Alright, we'll land off to the side. Way too fast, and again, don't have our air brakes to slow us down, so use good old parachutes. Cool. Recover it and take a peek at it, because I know I've definitely messed up the centers on it. Yep, sorry flyboys, no ribbons for getting on the crazy train. You've unfortunately been on a ticket since you got here. Actually, it's not perfect, but that is a lot better than I thought that was gonna be. There we go. However, you know, your safest ladder in the world, right there in front of the air intake. update the name to the Mark II. And let's throw those air brakes on because that's important. And then we'll probably get to what we were actually supposed to be doing this whole time, which is wasting time, but I wanted to build a very nice little jet. So I think what we're going to do is start new. Rolls. Grab that. Go for our fuel tanks. One Mark II, just like that. Bicoupler. Grab our afterburning engines. And let's take a peek at wing design. Not perfect, but it works. Alright. We have a nice wing system to go off of. Oh, that's cool. Not not enough, unfortunately. That'll mostly just get us annihilated when we attempt takeoff. This. Ooh. There's some really neat stuff there. Our brake. Our back fins. Expensive. Okay. Get it into place. Look pretty. But it is what it is. Let's tossing a set of wheels here. Very high off the ground. That is true. How about do that? That. Bring this in. Bring it back. A little bit more. Right, yes. Just behind center mass. You. Come on. Let me select the wheels. There we go. I knew there was a whole thing. Thank you for reminding me of that. I always forget that. Yeah, it's gotta be, what, like, there or something? I know it's just, there's a ratio for it, and for the life of me, I cannot remember it. I believe I do have to put these up just a little further. I've never really liked having to do it that way, but what we want is for this guy right here. I guess I can bring you down there, which will let me fix these. There. Have quite a bit of thrust. The problem all this, the Sky Junkie Mark 1. Got a little air brake there. Put our... So for this one, we shouldn't need chutes, but we will always have our emergency chutes. And that should be in the event of a catastrophic incident. It will save our Kerbins. Alright. It's a little silly to be doing it before I'm fully done with the design, but might as well take a peek, see how quick we can get this going. Oh. So, Dad, can you guess the thing I forgot to add that I told myself, yeah, make sure I don't forget, and then immediately forgot to do? You know, the thing the last aircraft had, like, an obscene amount of. Air intakes. Really wish there were better ways of setting up the air intakes. These aren't great. They at least kind of look okay. They still look insane compared to what they could be, but go here and then grab you and tuck you. Okay. Okay, that's still bad, but nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. And thank you for reminding me about setting up the afterburners. I definitely would have forgotten until I went to set them off and realized, nope. Actually, no, we need to toggle mode. And then 3 is the engine toggle. Save, build. And let's see if we're scooping enough air for this to work. The funny thing is, I haven't, like, I'm pretty sure I have the research capabilities necessary to get the, really good air intakes, but go. Engine up. Afterburners on. There we go. Keep forgetting if my mouse is over one of these panels, control is not there. So I thought one air intake might be enough, but the problem is I've had these air intakes do weird things in the past. Not these ones specifically, but other ones. Alright. Let's kick it. Got plenty of fuel. Let's see what we can do with it. Aside from, you know, knock the Kerbins unconscious. I do like it's got enough force to actually go into a straight vertical. That is not something you see every day. I forgot to assign pitch yaw, but at least for right now it looks like it's behaving itself. Let's bring ourselves into a more stabilized... Oop, don't you dare. Yeah, I guess the air is thin enough up here that the control surfaces are not doing much at these low speeds. Let's stabilize a little bit, see if it can build a little bit more speed. as you can see, we do have a bit of a busy local system. So do you normally play KSP yourself, or just a fan of viewing it? Yeah, I've been an avid lover of KSP. Kind of a shame what happened with KSP 2, but it is what it is. It is kind of funny though that, you know, mods are what's keeping it alive. See. How much speed can we get? Yeah, but that's the thing. There's there's a lot of games that have been out for a while, but KSP seems to have a modding community that loves it very much. It's very similar to another game I play, Transport Fever 2, although Transport Fever 3 is actually scheduled for release. Uh, the modding community really shows their love. Let's throttle the engines down because we are coming in way too quickly. Ooh. You can do it, brakes. Oh, I hate. Okay, what? Ah. Still technically a good landing. Pieces that are sitting right outside the station. Or, I don't want to keep calling the station. But right outside the KSP. Ooh, got a graphical glitch. That's neat. Pause that. Yeah, it fixed itself. Alright. Let us go into the sub-assembly, see if I had anything. Ooh, that was the one that used the old system, and that old system Not very friendly. That's using the old system as well. Huh. Didn't realize I hadn't put together a full system array for this. Could have swore I already had it, but I guess I must have just forgot. Double check our docking system. Okay, so we're doing a 1.25. Not the best, not the worst. Let's see. What type of unit do I want to do? I believe I might make this my science unit. Root Mr. Rigid. My question to myself, at least, is do I want to go out of my way and add more to this whole scientific part? Because I already have it prepped so I can dock my other systems with it. Might just be one of those instances where I move an entire part that isn't really just see. I wish it gave me more information on what that actually does. I'd find out if it's useful. There. That's gonna use 12. Oof. Okay. 12 is not a small number for our energy use numbers. Right, I forgot that these have this whole weird system. I do know we have. I don't know why I was adding those. I have an entire power bank already up there. Like, check utilities, make sure there's nothing I'm missing that is going to be useful. I do too. That's why I'm actually using this particular module, because I've gotten so many other things that just misbehave. One of the things I will be adding which actually, thinking about this, I might see if I have the part to do part of it now. But one of the things I will be adding is there is the issue with curbialism, realism basically, uh, with the radiation. Have you run into that issue yourself? Yeah, uh, almost did that with my first space station, and it was so bad I actually had to I was just so annoyed I deorbited the station, um, because I was just so mad at it. I was like, nope, you, you're not doing that to my people anymore, and I dropped the whole thing out of orbit. But oh, me either. I was having such a hard time finding a solution to the radiation. Um, do you have a favorite solution? Because I found one that is very funny, but also technically accurate. So, I will give you a hint, at least for moon landings, that it's not a perfect solution, but it does help. If you are landing on the moon and you need more radiation shielding, remember your heat shield for reentry can also get radiation shielding as a bonus to it. Also, one of the reasons why I can add shielding to stuff like that. Not perfect, but it does help. So yeah, you can use your radiation shields to give you a little bit more time. The other thing that it doesn't mention that I've tested in previous videos is the Kerbins will die if they're in a confined space for too long. Just apparently that is too much for them, and they just skip off to the afterlife. So you do have to be careful of that as well. So with the Kerbialism mod and all that, something like this actually has a double benefit because it is big, which means it counts more towards them than otherwise would. I think this is what I'm gonna do for this. Just because I haven't put any crossbars on my station as of yet. Oh yeah, the radiation will drag you down and beat you into the ground if you are not careful with it. See, we have cargo. Ooh, research module does have cargo. Just because we're already going up there. We'll take these. Go. We'll set a repair kits. Nothing too crazy, but should be enough to keep it behaved. Okay, not generating any heat. Nice. I know I have lights. I'm trying to remember what they fall under. I swore they were under electricity, but it all just tucked in Bulldog? But yeah, if you look here, this can get up to 4 radiation shielding. Not all of them get radiation shielding, but when you look at the rad shielding, that getting 4 is actually really useful. You can use it in quite a few ways. Habitats. Not particularly worried about that. Okay, utility, that's where it is. There we go. here. Up here is where we're going to do oh yeah, I haven't even gone into some of the crazier things with this, and I've already had quite a few we'll say experiences with the radiation on this. Now what I need to do is remove that from symmetry. That one's red. That one's green. Blink and blink. You are green. Blinking. They're red with blinking. And let me make sure I did this right. This is red, so we need one. Red. It's fine. You don't have to be good at it. That's the best part about Kerbal Space Program. You can learn rocket science just by existing, honestly. It's one of the best ways I have found to get people into rocket science and things of that nature. Ooh. Oh, these are really nice. I'll add the Houtation module later. So, a bit of a thing I tell people, SSTOs are more of a fad than it is a standard to set yourself. Because think about it, right now, how, like, aside from some ICBMs, and they don't even count as SSTOs most of the time because they even have staging. Like, how many SSTOs have you seen? It's considered one of the most difficult things to do. And I always see people, oh, I'm not good at Kerbal Space Program because I don't have a working SSTO. Like, well, that's the thing. You can sit there and all day worry about your SSTOs, and what you're gonna end up with is rigid on root is you're basically trying to force yourself to be basically the best. and you don't need to be. All you need to be is good enough to do what you want. That's the most important part. My favorite thing about Kerbal Space Program that a lot of people seem to forget is it is a game at the end of the day. Like, yeah, there are obscene amount of scientific stuff with it, but you know, it's a video game. It's, you know, made for you to have fun with. Also, let me do the smart thing. Remember to route this here. That. And make a sub-assembly for it in the event mess this up. Technically, I'm also way over my time, but hopefully my wife won't get too upset. So, there are a few really good designs I've seen people make for SSTOs. The thing I will say, first and foremost, is take a peek at pre-existing ones and kind of, but not really, throw a lot of what you know out the window. Because the people who are building SSTOs normally know quite a bit about it. I would say your best bet for SSTOs is check out some of the stuff Scott Manley does. I don't know if he does a lot of Kerbal Space Program lately, but he will get into the science of it, and that will get you so far. Well, that's the thing. You're not technically using their SSTO. The main thing you want to do is find stuff that works, and it's going to sound silly, but I've done it plenty of times on my channel, which is run experiments. Build just a jet just to see, hey, does this behave the way I want? And then go a little beyond that and go, hey, if I do X, Y, Z, does this behave? And we have liftoff. But that's what you have to do. Take your time, look at it, and go, hey, what's gonna work, what isn't? When it comes to SSTOs, a lot of time, the difference between a working SSTO and one that doesn't are percentages. And, like, sometimes percentage of percentages. Like, this rocket right here, I joke about and it's one of the few ones I have an actual blueprint set up for on my Patreon. This contains so much more thrust and lift than anything else I'll need. However, because I over-engineered it to such an extreme degree, and because I have a mod that lets me get stuff back for landing it, this works great for me. And that's exactly what you gotta do, is you gotta make your own thing. Take something from a base, because if you're trying to do a FAR build with SSTOs, you know someone else has already done it, they probably documented it, and you know, you don't want to copy someone else, but having an understanding might help. But you could also do what I do, which is I play a semi-realistic campaign mode that I, you know, force myself into certain constraints specifically to do that. But I do that so that when I decide, okay, this isn't working, I need to test it, it forces me to sit down and go back into actual scientific terms and, like, properly test it. Go, hey, you know, is this going to get me into orbit? No, you can do it. I didn't put a lot of maneuver capabilities on this, and that's why it's kind of just free floating. Worried it's not going to get the alignment in the 3 minutes it needs to. But you see what I mean? Like, I've been doing this a while, and I make these silly mistakes all the time. Of like, I did not add enough thrust capabilities, and I didn't add enough reaction wheels to make this turn the way it needs to in order to get the alignment. Thankfully, like I said, it's got more than enough delta V to go anywhere. And the important thing is I just have to get this into orbit. I did something kind of silly, kind of important, which is I went out of my way to build a space station and put docking tugs on it first and foremost. That way, when I send a cargo load up, I can just move the docking tug to grab the item and drag it over. This is actually the first one that is using and that's the thing, vanilla's not, you know, a bad thing. I'm not really a fan of the red. I thought it would look nice, it really doesn't. There we go. Docking stuff is blinking. And that's the thing, I've probably put a good 1,000 hours into vanilla. And most of that was before any of the stuff we currently have with a thing. Actually, one of the things that I enjoy so much is when it comes to vanilla KSP, in I get so much enjoyment out of it simply because a lot of the stuff works the way I anticipate it working. I feel like I should have gotten those boosters back already. Oh no. Wow. They really came pretty high up with me. That's a problem. Oh, not perfect, but because we did miss our timing, which means our rendezvous here is going to be less than spectacular. It also doesn't help that my KISS station, Kerbal Interplanetary Space Station, is not in a standardized orbit, or at least not in a standardized orbit as most people know it. Our ascending, descending node. But yeah, that's kind of one of those par for the course kind of moments. You're gonna have times where it is rough. Oop, not what I want to do. There we go. The trick is figuring out how you plan on doing it and just going from there. You're gonna have a lot of times where stuff feels like no matter what you do, you're, fighting with it. But if you're careful, you'll figure it out, and then you'll either think it is going to drive you insane, or you'll end up with something that you are proud of. Looking at the time, I'm well over what I'm supposed to be, so what we're going to do is we're going to get our burn situated, and then I will have to call it a night, unfortunately. I really should have put more reaction wheels on this. made a mistake of thinking that most of my payloads are going to have reaction wheels, so I didn't put it on the rocket itself, because this is normally enough to rotate and align the rocket and get it where it's got to go. Let's see if I do. I think it's all. Go. Time warp it a little bit, just so that we are able to pull this off in the time frame that we want. We also need to drop this engine. Nope. Well, gimbal lock is important, but we'll give you a 1 second or 1% burn capability, because 20 seconds is a lot better to control with this. One of the things you'll learn with some of the parts are stuff like this Rigor engine actually has bleed off as the engine turns off. So if I turn the actual thrust down, I'll actually have a much more accurate rendezvous, because while the engine's spooling down, since it's using so little force, the overstep will be much easier to accommodate. Go. Engine due to bleed off. Alright, and we're going to save it here. Thank you for coming out today. Are You My Dad? If you want to see more Kerbal Space Program, I will be doing the continuation of this on Wednesday. If you want to see, I haven't figured out what I'm doing tomorrow yet. It'll either be EE Colonies, which is a Minecraft mod, or it'll be Subnautica 2. It could also, theoretically, end up being a thing with a buddy of mine. We've been doing some Satisfactory, but getting us both together for it, not always easy. But yeah, until next time, I will see you around. I do hope to see you again. I'm always happy to give advice, get advice, and just watch things explode with people. So, alright, for that, we're going to wrap it up. Call it a night. Alright, take it easy.